Okay, we're skipping a couple of chapters, and you can hear there's a bit of an echo now. Obviously, since episode 4, I've done a lot of work in here. Now, the last time you saw this room, there were still 2 bookcases here, still a lot of things above it. I've moved all those now. So all the bags that were down here, a good portion of them have been moved. And I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts on the initial part of the collection move. Because I have moved some to the other location, I've moved the bookcases, set all that up. I'm not ready to reveal how I'm setting it up because it's still in work in progress. But I wanted to come on here real quick and say that I'm really happy with the way the bag method is turning out. And also they are reusable, so I am reusing them for more of the collection. These are mostly undamaged. So obviously I didn't document clearing out Action. I didn't document clearing out Marvel, DC, because I just needed to get through things, essentially. Coming on here and talking about like, hey, this is how I'm doing it, this is how I'm moving stuff, it's not always practical in terms of timing, you know. I'm trying to get things done in a fast, efficient manner, you know. I'm trying to get things done bang, 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 you know. So I've moved as much as I can. I've moved bookcases, I've moved the collection. All the 4Ks are at the other location now, so there are essentially no 4Ks still left here. And it's looking good so far from what I've set up. I'm not ready to reveal it yet. You'll see that when I eventually debut it. But for right now, I'm happy with the way this methods went. Now, some of you have been saying, oh, the bags will fail, the bags will fail. I did have a fail rate on like 1 or 2 bag handles, but even then, the way I was holding them, because I always hold it like, you hold it a bit like, when you're carrying a collection, you try to carry all parts of the handle, because you don't trust it, you know. Hold it as much surface area as possible. You try to hold every part. Then, you know, even if one snaps, you still got a lot of surface area that you're holding. I didn't have a fail rate on these mostly. I think out of the whole, like, I maybe had, let me see, out of all these bags, because I'm reusing a lot of them, let's see how many I had. All these ones. These were all the ones that the bags were in. Out of all of these, there was 2 more that failed that I couldn't reuse. That's a pretty good fail rate with these. Now, that's with a big asterisk. So if you're doing this and playing on this method as well, you got to carry it gently. Like if you're swinging it around like, hey, look at me, I've got a bag and I don't have to worry about it, then yes, you're going to have issues. I'm reusing some old Macca's bags as well. I'm using a bit of everything. Here's an old Woolworths bag or a Coles bag. You know, if you're being very careful, sometimes you can get it from underneath if you want to hold it, give it that extra support. But for the most part, like if you're swinging it around, then yes, the handles are more prone to damage. However, if you're carrying it close to the ground as low as possible, the center of gravity, you know, you want to kind of keep it where it is. You know, you want to keep the center of gravity as close as possible. What is on my screen there? Something's on my screen. Either way, you know, I tried to make the center of gravity for the bags as low as possible so that if a mishap did happen, if the bag was to rip, then it wouldn't be hard to put it down real quick, you know. So I was minimizing my risk. Now, I know a lot of people were saying the bags will fail, the bags will fail. 2K, it was never out of my view. It was fine. Nothing really went wrong, you know. It was pretty much straightforward. As I said, 1 or 2 handles ripped. One bag kind of showed hints that it was starting to rip, but got onto that very quickly. As I said, you've got to be aware of moving your collection. What else was there? There was also, obviously, I've folded down Billy bookcases. I've got the older Billy bookcase design. Now, I know they have come up with peg ones where you can pull the little thing out and then the part stays in there. So it's like a little nail part, but there's one part you put in and then you jam it in, like a wood anchor. Mine's the older designs that actually use proper nails. So it was a pain in the ass to take nails out of the Billy bookcases, fold the back down, fold the whole thing down. That was probably the biggest job so far. In terms of the little ones with my VHS collection, these are easy because I can move the whole thing in a car. Like, you know, these little bookcases, the Nedbys, aren't too hard to move. Even the half a Billy bookcases, these ones aren't too hard to move. So the biggest part of the job is done, essentially. The big Billy bookcases are gone. And it's a bit of a weird one because it means this is becoming very real now. You know, for years, this part of my collection has been Billy bookcases, you know. I started doing the channel right here in a seat, sitting down, talking to you guys. Back in 2024, I started doing this channel. And it was all here. And now those Billy bookcases are at the new location. So I'm not ready to reveal them yet. I'm going to keep pushing that home. I'm not ready to reveal them, but I am sort of becoming aware that, hey, this is becoming a reality now. This is feeling very real. But also, it's kind of a relief because the biggest part of the job's done essentially. Those big Billy bookcases are the biggest part of the job by a mile. And they're done now. So I'm kind of like, okay, relief. I've put them back up. They went back into place properly. Also, some of the backs were kind of half broken. I had to kind of put new nail holes up across a bit, and it was fine. Like, Billy bookcases are pretty resilient. And yeah, what can I say? Like, it went pretty much according to plan. My plan worked, you know? And also endlessly reusable. I'm going to reuse these for more of the collection. I can put more stuff in here. That being said, I'm also selling parts. I'm selling books. I'm selling things that I can't necessarily be bothered taking with me. So there's a lot I'm going to start like listing. I've also remerged some of the collection back in. So I put Halloween back in with the horror section. So the 4Ks that I initially did a video on that, hey, I'm going to sell these. Because it looks more fuller on the bookcase, I am probably going to keep those now and keep them as like, you know, in this room, it was kind of like I was out of room, essentially. I was like, oh, I should probably sell them because I'm running out of space. Now with the space, I'm kind of like, I can probably keep those now. I could still sell them if I need some money. I'm not desperate, but, you know, I'm necessarily not desperate for them. Also, I am selling these, so if you're in the Sydney area and you want all my WWF VHS tapes, make an offer. I've got 167 WWF VHS tapes, and I haven't listed my WCW ones because I'm half tempted to keep my WCWs, but I've probably got maybe 40 to 60, I don't know, what's that, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, maybe 46, 47, give or take, WCW tapes. But I haven't listed those, and I'm probably not going to sell them unless there's a really good offer for like all the titles over here, you know? Unless there's a really good offer for all of these, then I'm probably not going to sell them. All the WWF tapes, there's 167. I'm still trying to sell them on Facebook and haven't listed them on eBay because I don't want to post them. But either way, this method is working. Like, everything that has gone to plan so far has worked. My bag method has worked. I didn't think it was going to. I thought I was going to have a bigger fail rate with the bags, but it turns out actually all right. And I know a lot of people criticize me over that, saying, oh, your mother kicking you out of the basement. I have to block that person. I know that person was a fan of the channel, but sometimes there's just comments where I'm just like, nah, you had your chance. Like, nah, go away if you're going to be like that. I know there's people who do that sometimes and are like having a bit of a joke, but you know, sometimes your joke can be flagged. I don't care. Like, it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. Whatever, I do what I want. But yeah, the biggest part of the job is done. And I'm in breathing because it's a relief, you know? I'm breathing very heavily because it's like, yes, this is the relief. The biggest part of these 4 Billy bookcases so far, the biggest part of the collection is done. I have taken the center one out of the middle of it, so I'm going to bring the 3 of them back together and have it along a wall, so I'm not ready to show that yet, but it's going to be more wide, so it's wider than here than what this was. So yeah, it's becoming real. And I am still working on this process. I'm still trying to figure out all the variables. The box method is pretty easy. I have to still merge some of these. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So don't worry about all this stuff on the table. I have to put these little tiny these little tiny box ones into these bigger new boxes because I actually prefer Blu-rays in one box where I can use it as a drawer rather than 2 little tiny ones pulling out and saying sci-fi's in here, romance is in here. With one box, it's all in one, and I'm like, okay, romance and sci-fi. Boom, it's in one box. Makes it a little bit more manageable, and it also makes cataloging it when I eventually put it into an Excel spreadsheet, which is the plan for these boxes, so I can easily go through and type in a searchable spreadsheet and say, okay, it's in box thing. I can put little numbers on it and say, it's number 1,200 and blah, and then I just go, okay, Blu-ray action is titles 110 to whatever. You go through it quickly and go, okay, there's one whatever, pull it out, put it back in its place very easily. That's the system. I want to do a library system with the sleeves. Haven't decided that far ahead yet. You know, the initial part of this is get them in the boxes, get them moved, get it all set up, then decide how I want to catalog it. If I want to put stickers on the sleeves, you know, not on the paperwork itself, but the sleeves itself. But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, this actually turned out pretty well. All of this was kind of Billy bookcases, and the biggest part of the job is done. And it feels a relief to say that, you know, it's a relief to say that the biggest part of the job is done. And, you know, obviously there's a lot more stuff when you're moving, you know, there's stuff like beds, there's stuff like the entertainment unit, which is the next biggest thing with my C9, and it's one of the Brimney's 3-drawer black kind of ones, so you can look it up at IKEA. It's a black three drawer one underneath. It's got like 3 entertainment compartments, and then I sit my LG C9 on top. I don't know how much it's rated for weight-wise, but I think my LG is about, I don't know, 35 kilos or something, 33, 34 kilos. But that's the next biggest thing. But for the most part, this is essentially, like, for the most part done. I have to still fold down, well, not fold down, I have to put into bags next all my Arrowverse and all my Marvel. That's got to go down next. That's going to be another day job. Then I can move that bookcase. I can move them bookcases with the VHS on them. But for the most part, it's coming together. What can I say? It's coming together. And that's pretty cool. You know? When my Billy bookcase is gone, like, look at this. This is pretty cool. My Billy bookcases are gone to the next location. I thought that was going to be the biggest part. It was the biggest part. It took probably... I moved them in parts. So I moved 1.5 Billy bookcases, and the next day I moved the other 2 Billy bookcases. That was probably a overall 3-day job, and I was also moving bags at a time, so I moved probably a couple of dozen bags at a time. And it was difficult. It was very heavy to carry those Billy bookcases. My muscles are kind of, look at all this, all the damage on my arm, and, you know, because I was carrying as much as possible, you know. Obviously, you got to carry right, so if you're planning on doing this, don't do your back out. You need to get down really thin. You know, if you worked in a warehouse, you know how to pick up stuff. If you've never worked in a warehouse, maybe let the experts do it. But, you know, I'm pretty much trained with that. You know, you always go down, you always keep your back straight. You never do your back out. You never bend over and go, ugh. You know, you try to do it the right way. So I was doing it the right way. But anyways, guys, I'm going to end it here. I don't know how I can go on for much longer than I have. If you like, subscribe, drop a comment, watch the end screens. I'll put a couple here. You know, obviously I'm not really doing much on TikTok or Instagram at the moment, but if you want to go follow those, sometimes I put stuff in my story that might be interesting. Yeah, what can I say? The process is all coming along together. And my method was right. I was right. I don't care what anyone says. I was right. Watch the end screens.